Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. All right, buckle up, because this story is pure retail insanity. A perfect example of why customer service workers deserve medals. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. The most pointless shift ever, featuring Karen and her ugly penny. I'd like to preface this story by noting that it took place on July 4th, a holiday in my country where almost everyone takes the day off. They generally don't go shopping at all unless it's like last-minute groceries or something. I work at an office supply store. I think we made about $7 that day. It was hilariously pointless to be open, but anyway, here's the tale. Customer, C, comes up to my register with 4 containers. She wants me to price check them because, specifically, she wants the 2 cheapest ones. Sounds good. I check the prices individually and go over them with her so she can pick the cheapest ones. We proceed with the transaction. I state the total, she hands me cash, I get her change, tell her the amount she's getting back, and thank her and such. Then I turn my attention to some other front-end tasks, assuming the transaction is over. When I eventually look back to the register, I notice she's studying her change and receipt like it's a final exam, looking visibly upset. C. You rang up the wrong ones. I said I wanted the expensive ones. Me. But just a second ago you said you wanted the cheaper ones. C. No, I wanted one of the cheaper ones and one of the expensive ones. So just right off the bat, this lady's all over the effing place. That's officially 3 different combinations of containers, but whatever, maybe she's senile. I politely explained to her that I'm happy to fix this, but that it's going to be a fairly involved process. First, the system takes a few minutes to register receipts, so we have to wait a little to start a return. Then, since it's a cash refund, store policy states a manager needs to be physically present, and all 3 of us need to sign a piece of paper. Once all that's done, I can ring up the item she wants. Admittedly, it's a lot. But them's the breaks. She responds, fine, in a tone that indicates she's clearly not fine with it. I'm mentally barfing, but keeping my best customer service persona on because it's not worth any trouble. An awkward 5 minutes later, I'm able to pull up her receipt in the system and the manager comes over. Me. This customer changed her mind and I need to do a cash refund. C. I didn't change my mind. I wanted one of the cheaper ones and one of the expensive ones. Manager. Okay, we'll take care of that for you. We all sign for the refund, I process it, and the manager wanders off. I then proceed to carefully clarify which one she wants and ring her up for it. Her change is a few cents. I'm thinking this is all over, but she looks at the change, glares at me, and complains that one of the pennies is too ugly and angrily requests a new one. Internally, I rue my own birth. Externally, I politely explain that I can give her a new one, but I need a manager override to open the till if there's no sale. She makes some weird chicken-like squawk as if I'd just told her I'd killed her only child. She's flailing her arms and screaming, "Oh, do I have to sign for that too?" Me. No, I just need the manager. C. Fine. She stands there like an a-hole. I don't know how else to describe her pose, and I kind of fiddle with some stuff on the desk while we wait for the manager again, who had to go put out another metaphorical fire somewhere else in the store. Part of me considers politely explaining to her that the value of a penny isn't based on its appearance and that she's honestly wasting her own time, but I figure she'll just yell. Eventually, the manager comes back up. Me. This customer wants a nicer-looking penny. Manager stares blankly for a second. Oh, sure, let me get that for you. We give her the new penny, she leaves, and we proceed to brutally mock her for a few minutes after we're sure she's out of earsight. I swear, some people treat the mere act of shopping like it's an Olympic-level event of chaos and drama. This woman's ability to change her mind 3 times about containers is truly something to behold. The ugly penny moment? That's when you realize she wasn't just indecisive. She was out here auditioning for Customer of the Year, most unreasonable division. And our second story. I followed Karen's orders to the letter and watched her squirm. Today's cast, me, Karen manager, store manager. A bit of background. I used to work at a popular grocery store that's known for rolling over for customers. I started working for this grocery store during my gap year before college. I wanted to save up some money before taking on the crippling burden that is student loans. When I started, the job was easy enough, and the vast amount of people were kind. I didn't have to deal with a lot of Karens, and the hours were flexible. I really enjoyed my coworkers and managers. Life seemed great. That is, until our department got a new boss. I don't know what it is about new bosses, but they always have to go on a power trip to consolidate power and show everyone they mean business. Our Karen manager went around the department and started criticizing people for the stupidest things. Even if we were doing our job correctly, she'd show up and tell us to work faster, and we were stealing company time. We all hated her, but she's our boss, so we just tried to do what we were told. I pride myself on finding the quickest and most efficient way to do my job. Thanks for the upbringing, Mom. I applied this to any of my duties for the day. It just so happened that the end of the day was coming up and we had to return products that customers left behind. Non-perishable, of course. I was voluntold to go do it. This wasn't an issue as I'd done this plenty of times before. I went about my task and finished in about 10 minutes. The second I got done, my KM called me into her office and the following conversation ensued. Karen manager, close the door. Now, do you know why I called you in here? Me. No. Karen manager. I'm trying to improve efficiency in the department, and you took way too long to do those go-backs. I won't tolerate people slacking off in my department. Do you understand? Me. I wasn't slacking off, trying to defend myself. I was just cutting me off, she reiterated. Karen manager. Do you understand? Knowing I was being railroaded, I just sighed and said yes. Karen manager. To ensure you don't slack off again, you're forbidden from doing any more go-backs. I don't care if the store manager tells you otherwise. This is my department, and you'll do as I say. I'm the boss. I get a smile on my face as I realize what she just said. I nod my head and reply, me. Understood. I won't do go-backs no matter what. My Karen manager replied with an umbrage smile and said, good. Now go back to work, and don't forget what I said. I'm the boss. I turned around so she couldn't see my crap-eating grin and said, don't worry, message received loud and clear. A few days go by without incident until I finally get my chance. The front desk supervisor seems that the go-back card is full and asks me to return the products. I smile and say, sorry, supervisor, Karen manager said I was wasting time and am no longer allowed to return products. The supervisor gives me a weird look but just shrugs and tells another coworker to do it instead. The cycle continues on for the next month. One day, the store manager happens to be manning the front desk. The end of the day rolls around, and he looks at me and says, hey, OP, we have a lot of go-backs, and I need you to return them. Me. Sorry, store manager, I'm not allowed to do go-backs anymore on account of slacking off. Store manager looks frustrated and says, I don't care if you're allowed to or not. I'm telling you to take these back. Me. Sorry, store manager. Karen manager told me I'm not to do any more go-backs no matter what, and I'd better follow her orders. Karen manager told me that this is her department and that she is the boss. Store manager looked pissed and stormed into the manager's office. A few minutes later, store manager called Karen manager to his office over the intercom. Karen manager came waddling out of her office and went into store manager's office. The door closed, and we could all hear muffled yelling. After about 10 minutes, the door opened and Karen manager shuffled out. She glared daggers at me and told me to come to her office. I happily complied and said, yes, Karen manager, how can I be of assistance? Karen manager, you are allowed to do go-backs again, that's all. I smirked and left her office, happy that I could put a Karen in her place. She set herself up so beautifully. By forbidding you from doing go-backs, she not only created inefficiencies, but also inadvertently made her own boss's life harder. A cardinal sin for any middle manager on a power trip. You played well, OP. The moment the store manager got involved, it was game over for Karen manager's little fiefdom. That muffled yelling from the office must have been nice to hear. And our last story. The HOA tried to ruin me, but my lawyer had other plans. It all started when the HOA decided they were the self-appointed gods of the neighborhood, even though my property doesn't sit within their jurisdiction. I own 3 acres behind my house, which I used to run a lumber and firewood business. It's my land, my livelihood, and I take pride in my work, but apparently the sound of hard work offends their delicate sensibilities. About 4 months ago, the HOA declared war. They started by cutting the lines on my equipment, chainsaws, my log splitter, and even my bandsaws. But they didn't stop there. They threw salt in the machinery, utterly destroying it. They also left smug little notes saying, "The HOA bans the use of forestry equipment." Newsflash, my property isn't part of the HOA, but logic and jurisdiction clearly weren't in their vocabulary. Then came the thefts. Multiple chainsaws vanished. Again, another smug note. They were proud of their destruction. It wasn't just my business they targeted. They went after my home. They vandalized my fence, keyed my vehicles, and caused over $50,000 worth of damage to my personal property on top of the $120,000 in equipment they destroyed. Enter my lawyer, and not just any lawyer, but my sister-in-law. She's sharp as hell and had zero patience for their entitled nonsense. We gathered everything, the receipts, the invoices for the repairs, the before and after photos of the damage, and here's the kicker, video footage. Oh yes, the HOA president and one of his lackey board members were caught red-handed on camera destroying my equipment. It wasn't just vandalism, it was premeditated destruction of someone's livelihood. We took them to court. The hearing was short, 15 minutes tops. My lawyer laid out the evidence like she was dealing with children who got caught stealing candy. The city layout clearly showed my property was outside the HOA's jurisdiction, making their actions not only outrageous, but blatantly illegal. The judge didn't need long to decide. The HOA was ordered to pay me full restitution, $170,000 in damages, and you could see the blood drain from their faces. But it didn't stop there. As we were walking out, my lawyer turned to me with a smirk and said, "Now about those criminal charges. See you next week." The cherry on top, some of my neighbors are now trying to form an HOA to prevent situations like this. Seriously, after witnessing this circus, they think more HOA oversight is the answer? Spoiler alert, I'm not signing up. No way, no how. I work hard for my stuff, and I'm not about to let anyone, especially a group of entitled control freaks, tell me what to do with my land. Let this be a lesson. Mess with someone's livelihood and you'll pay. Literally. And as for the HOA president and his lackey, well, let's just say their legal troubles are far from over. Even if you're in an HOA, destroying a member's personal property is not a remedy an HOA has against a member. Fines, injunctions, court orders, even in extreme cases foreclosure, they're nuts. It amazes me how much they think they can do as HOA board members. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.